Hey, my name is Paris. I live in New York. I'm a mother and a wife, and I also am a business owner. I do talent management, and I also am birthing my newest baby, Soft. And we are opening a silk press blowout salon in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, which I'm very, very excited about. And before I got to this point, I dealt with some health challenges during my pregnancy. I started to think I was possibly having a miscarriage. I was dealing with a lot of pain and I didn't know what was going on. So I panicked and, rushed right away to the hospital. And come to find out, once I got to the hospital, there were fibroids that I did not know that I had. I was about 3 months pregnant, going into my second trimester, and it was middle of the week, the evening. My husband had just left out to take a ride upstate with his friend, and I'm just relaxing on the couch. And I started having a gnawing pain on my side. So I was like, let me just lay down. Maybe, I don't know, the baby's in a position or, I don't know what's going on. So I just laid down. The pain never seemed to subside. And I reached out to my husband. I was very concerned that I was possibly going to experience a miscarriage. So I wanted to get to the hospital as soon as possible. So I called him. I said, I know you're, out on the road. I'm going to get in an Uber and take myself to the hospital. He said, no, I'm going to turn around and come back and I will take you. And I said, okay, well, you have to, are you sure? Because I need to get there as soon as possible. Something just did not feel right with this pain because it was not going away and the intensity was increasing. So he comes back. We get to the hospital. The pain is still gnawing, still, very, very bothersome. I'm in the ER and they, say they're going to schedule a sonogram for me. So I have the sonogram and the tech asked me if I had ever, been told that I had fibroids. And I said, fibroids? No. She said, okay, well, I'm going to, have you see the doctor. I see the resident doctor and the doctor tells me, you're having an issue with your fibroids. And luckily, your baby is winning the fight. And that is what's causing you so much pain. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. I will take any amount of pain, knowing that my pregnancy is still okay. And my baby is winning the fight. What he did say is that this will get worse before it gets better. And because of where you are in your pregnancy, there is not much that you can do pain-wise to really manage that pain. The resident says, I recommend you taking some fancy word of a medicine, but it could possibly do something to your baby's heart. It's still very early on, but if you were to take this past 20 weeks or something, it could do something to your baby's heart. So I said, okay. He's like, let's see if the doctor will approve this. The doctor comes in. He did not want to give me that medicine. So I actually was sent home and maybe told to take some Tylenol or something like that, because, when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to take Motrin. Motrin would have probably been the most ideal, but it's not recommended when you're pregnant. So I was sent home with little to nothing. And the resident was absolutely right that the pain was going to get worse before better. My body was being crippled with pain. So I could not walk. I couldn't get in and out of bed. I couldn't walk. My husband had to bathe me. I had no appetite. I couldn't be left alone. I had to have somebody come and take care of me. So, because at some point, of course, he had to step out. And I didn't know what to do, how to succumb this. I kept calling back to my doctor saying, okay, you all need to do something. I need some type of relief. Call in that medicine that the resident had mentioned. Maybe I can just take one of those to get some relief. We have to figure something out. The nurse practitioner would not get back in touch with me. which was very frustrating. I felt like I was stuck in a system that was not responsive to me, that didn't care that I was in pain, that didn't care that I was in pain while pregnant, that, I felt like we need to see what else is going on. Is my baby still okay? To the point that I would not only call the doctor's office, but then try to get whoever was on call at that time, which means they were in the hospital, maybe delivering or doing surgeries. But I didn't care. I needed somebody to hear me and somebody to know that I needed help because nobody was helping me. My doctor wouldn't get back in touch with me, unfortunately. And she's a great Black OBGYN, but I found out later that because she is so good, she gets inundated with the most patients, where the other two doctors in the practice, who are white males, did not have to take on such a workload like her. So it was easier for a patient of hers to slip through the cracks, especially when you don't have her first defense, which is the nurse practitioner doing her job. So it was a very frustrating, honestly heartbreaking experience for me, especially while being pregnant, to not feel heard or seen, or, feeling like anybody really cared about my health or well-being at that time. The pain that I was feeling from the fibroid was excruciating. It was all over to my left side, and it just kept me in a knot. I couldn't move. My legs, everything was just sore from like the waist down. So I think that the fibroid was maybe on a nerve, and that's what was causing this like sharp pain. If I remember correctly, I didn't feel like I was having contractions, but just a very, very, very bad period pain. Like I suffer with bad periods, so my threshold for pain is pretty high, but this had me in tears, not only because of the pain, which, I think I did pretty well with managing that, but days of the pain. We're talking 24-hour cycles of the pain with no relief. That's what was crushing. And I didn't feel in control of my body. It's this weird thing in my head. For some reason, during that time, I felt like my bed, because I couldn't get in and out of it easily, was 4 feet high. And the way I had to try to slide out of the bed to, get to 2 feet, my bed is not 4 feet high. My bed comes up to mid-thigh, but that is what was in my head, trying to navigate my body during that time. I slept just with I had a body pillow. I was pregnant. So I just stayed nestled in between, these pillows, and just kind of held on tight because it was nothing else that I could do. I had no relief for the pain. This experience was very traumatizing for me. I remember, when I finally would make it to the bathroom, and then I didn't want to be a burden on my husband. I had to keep asking him, can you do this? Can you help me do this? Can you, just asking him for every little thing, for the easiest things that we're used to doing as a human being. I couldn't do those things anymore. So I felt like a burden on him. And he was sleeping on the couch because I just needed that space in the bed to be more comfortable. And, I knew he was exhausted from trying to tend to me and make sure I was okay. And I'm sure he was stressed out because it's not just me, it's me and his baby. It was traumatizing for both of us to be in that experience. And my mom is not in New York with me. I'm from DC, so my family is there. So I just remember speaking to my mom and my grandmothers, and I would just break down. I'm not a crier, but by the time I got to that phone and heard their voice, and I didn't have good news to share, nothing had changed with my progress, I would break down and cry because it was a very traumatizing experience, because I wasn't being heard. The system was not responding to me, unfortunately, with a solution. So we looked to these doctors to help us and to guide us, and I was not receiving help or guidance. And that is traumatizing. That was a traumatizing experience. One, to my body, to be under that much pain for nonstop, for hours and days at a time. And then my mental, to just feel like, oh, she'll figure it out. She'll be okay. Knowing I didn't have the information or the tools to do that, that was very traumatizing for me and my family. Since I was dealing with a degenerating fibroid and I had already been given the assurance that, my baby was winning the fight, I had in my mind, I'll bear whatever pain that is as long as my baby is still winning this fight. So I thought about how is she feeling while she's in there? Is everything okay? But I never worried so much about that piece because I did feel like everything the resident said, now we're talking about the person that's still in training, he was dead on about, and I should have probably had that medicine and whatever dose that would have made sense for me at that time because I might have felt better a lot sooner. So he did assure me that the baby was winning the fight and I was going to be the one to have to bear the pain for this degenerating fibroid. So in my mind, I just held on to that, found comfort, whatever comfort I could find. That's probably what helped, honestly, just let me, hold on to what was happening to me without feeling like, okay, I'm losing it. So probably about day 4 and still no relief, I hobbled myself back into the doctor's office to try to get some answers from somebody. And I still could barely walk. So I'm holding onto the railing. And one of the doctors sees me going by and he said, and I'm crying because here I am in front of you all and still nobody is like, really taking me serious. And one of the doctors sees me going by, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And I said, I've been in a week's worth of pain and nobody has done anything. So this one doctor, Dr. Ferber, because my doctor was not there, he, sat me down, wiped my tears off himself and said, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to try to, do something. So I was very grateful that finally somebody had enough compassion to, to hear me, to pay some attention. And they did schedule a sonogram. And so I went for the sonogram and the fibroid, was so in the way that my baby's little neck was, she's like hanging over the fibroid. And I'm like, is it crushing her neck? Is she okay? I didn't know at that point. Yes. Now I'm thinking about, okay, what's going on with my child? Because I would have never imagined that the fibroid was so in her way that it was on her neck. Like I still have the sonogram images. And, when they passed that to me, I just was bawling. I felt so bad and because I couldn't do anything to help her. And she looked very uncomfortable. I didn't know what was, happening. But once I saw what was going on with my baby, yeah, I felt helpless as a new mom to be. And that was not a comfortable feeling. And I feel like all of this could have been avoided or handled a lot sooner had someone listened. And we probably should have been monitoring sooner how this fibroid was affecting my baby, especially at the level of pain that I was having. So it was pretty devastating to know that days had went by and nobody was checking on me, which means nobody was checking on the baby. I found out about the detox now because I had worked with Coach Jesse during a time when Angela Yee and I had done a water fast, the Detox Now water fast, a 14-day fast. So that was a great experience. It taught me a lot. And I knew Coach Jesse's work dealt with women that had experienced issues with fibroid. So when I was at my wit's end and the doctors weren't getting back to me, the medical system was not effective for me, I said, I got to reach out to Jesse. And at this time, I was a little hesitant because I had yet to share my pregnancy. So most women don't share their pregnancy until they are fully out of, that first trimester. So literally I'm out of a few days out the trimester and I'm dealing with this. And what was crazy, was that the first trimester, I dealt with crazy nausea. I was nauseous from sun up until sundown. So I had a small little window where I was like, oh, I'm finally feeling like myself. And then I'm thrown into this issue with the fibroids. So it was my early on in my pregnancy was just very tumultuous. It wasn't smooth sailing, unfortunately. Despite me holding my pregnancy still very close to my chest, I knew that I had to make this call to Coach Jessie. I had nowhere else to turn, nobody else to talk to, nobody else with any solutions. And I knew she had proven results and could help me. So I asked my husband, was he okay with us making this call as a family to figure out what could be done? And of course, he was supportive. So I reached out and said, hey, Jessie, I think I texted her first. Hey, I need to talk to you in confidence. I have something that I want to share with you. And she got right back to me. I told her that I was dealing with a fibroid issue. I'm in a whole lot of pain. And on top of it, I'm pregnant. So I need you to keep this between you and I. And she assured me that my secret was not going to go anywhere and she would help me and we would get to the other side of this. Jessie asked me what I had left over, what supplements I had left over from the 14-day water fast. I let her know what I had. And then she started to work on my balance kit because that is what I was going to need to get me to the other side. So I started taking a few things that I had at home. And I think within a day or two, I had the balance kit and I started taking everything exactly as she described for me to take it and lay it out. I switched up. I had a little, not really I didn't have a big appetite, but whatever she recommended that I eat to support the supplements that I was taking and getting all of my water in, I did everything that she said. And in less than 5 days, I was able to walk again. I was not in nowhere near as much pain. I was just kind of coming out of this terrible experience dealing with this fibroid that I had no idea that I had. So I was very blessed for how fast she worked with me, how fast the supplements got to me, how fast I really was able to take that balance program and start incorporating it into my day-to-day and see the results. I felt like Coach Jessie saved me from such a horrible experience. Jessie gave me the support I needed. She kept checking in on me. Even once the pain has subsided and moved on, I had a supporter throughout the rest of my pregnancy because we both knew that that fibroid was still there. There was nothing we could do with the fibroid while I was pregnant. So there was no surgery. I couldn't detox. I couldn't do anything. So what the medical people or the medical field might recommend surgery, I would have done what Coach Jessie would have recommended, which is a detox and an eating plan, but my options were very limited. So I relied on my balance kit and the supplements from the program to really help make sure that that fibroid stayed at bay until I, delivered my baby. And I have to say that like I said, within 5 days, the pain was gone. Now, because the fibroid is continuing to shrink, there were times that I would run into some other moments of pain, but I always had my supplements. I would say, Jessie, is getting a little, uncomfortable. Up your dosage on this, or take this a few more times a day. And that would keep the fibroid, tamed. That was our goal. Jessie told me that we're just going to keep this monster, because that's what it felt like, a monster was in my body. We're going to keep this monster like tamed and in place until we can really approach this holistically when you're not pregnant. So Jessie saved me and my baby, who's Luna, who's here with us. And we had a safe delivery. And from then on out, my pregnancy was smooth. I had a beautiful pregnancy. My family likes to call it, oh, you had a Zen pregnancy. And it was. After that, with my supplements and Jessie's support, everything was peaceful and harmonious. And the fibroid didn't give us any more problems, none. What was amazing is not only did I have the support of Coach Jessie, but I also had the support of the other women that she has supported. And she would always refer to them as the hope mommy. So I might be going through something in my pregnancy, and she would say, oh, wait a minute, let me check with this hope mommy or my hope mommies and see what they did. And I will give you, the information, and that should work for you. So I had this extended tribe through Jessie herself of this group of women that were, get her responses instantly. And I would have the information that I needed to find whatever comfort that I needed, whether it was a question or I was, a pain or something with the baby. I had this whole extended network thanks to, the work that Jessie has done with so many women. She's changing lives for us. And the thing about me and my wellness journey is I like to share what I learn, and especially when it yields results. So starting with the detox, the 14-day fast, that taught me, it was more mental, which that's what a fast is for, I think. It was more mental than, what we were doing. I learned how not to give myself what I needed in a moment. So where I might want to get a French fry or something a chip or, something I may not need, or even if it was something healthy like a salad, but now I'm jeopardizing my schedule to sit and eat. I understood that could wait a second. I could get that, 30 minutes from now, or I don't have to have the fry. I can just have an apple and I'll be okay. So I already trusted Jessie and her programs because of that. And since I have trust in Jessie and her work and the programs and the community that comes with the programs, I'm more than willing to share the information with my tribe and my people. And I've shared Jessie and Dr. Amun with my grandparents, who are my heart and soul. And, I'm like, no, you're doing what? Oh, no, you're going to talk to Coach Jessie about, your diet, your habits, and other women in my life that unfortunately are dealing with fibroids, and their bodies are literally riddled with fibroids, which is devastating. I'm like, oh, you need to do this. This works. Talk to Coach Jessie, learn about the Balance program. I've even given the Balance program as a birthday gift because that's how important it is for me, to me. And, just I practice wellness, and I want anybody I love to also practice wellness. So if I can give the gift of wellness through products that I know are, life changing, then that's what I'm going to do. That's what I stand for. That's what I'm about.